Hey hairdressers, I'm Cyd Charisse.
And I'm David Bosher, and we are Destroy the Hairdresser. At Destroy the Hairdresser, we are head over heels for Aura salonware. Why? Because Aura is the only salonware that flawlessly supports every one of the Destroy the Hairdresser game-changing methods. From station sharing and cashless payments to offering true scheduling freedom and more, Aura's got it all. Wrapped in a beautiful, easy-to-use package, it's perfect for everyone, whether you're an independent stylist or managing multiple salon locations. Plus, Aura's robust features help streamline your operations and boost your bottom line. Ready to elevate your salon? Visit aurasalonwear.com/DTH for exclusive discounts and start your journey today. Give your clients great hair with fewer products and make more money with less inventory. Introducing Hair Story, a mindful and innovative brand. Hair Story's game-changing product, New Wash, cleans and conditions without harsh foams or detergents, restoring your scalp's natural balance. Made with gentle, biodegradable ingredients and recyclable packaging, it's good for your hair and the planet. With Hair Story Pro, earn a 25% commission on client purchases either in person or online. Plus, enjoy free education, wholesale pricing, and special client discounts. Try New Wash for free and get pro access today at hairstory.com/DTH.
Okay, so this is going to be a juicy episode, mostly because I think that there's first off, we live in a country where every state is like a little country and has different rules, so things get kind of convoluted. Main advice as coaches that we always give is get a lawyer. Talk to someone legal in your area, in your state, that knows the law. But before we dive into that, we have a really incredible new hairdresser hotline submission. And for those of you that want to submit your questions, because we get them all the time, so we're flooding through them, which is great. The number is 201-564-5007. Text us, call us. We're not going to answer. We're not going to respond, but you are giving us your consent by texting us or calling us or leaving a voicemail to read it on the air. We will, unless you're shout my name out, which we've had a couple people be like, So a couple things. I'm going to go into this from our most recent submission. This was a good one. I was like, we can't pass this up. We have to talk about this because this was a big thing that was happening in California and where everyone got confused and started saying commission salons are illegal. So let me read it and then everything will kind of make sense. Hey there, friends. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about a salon operating as a commission salon, but the stylists are 1099s. Oof. I currently work in a salon like this, and the general issues are mostly that taxes are going to be horrible because we aren't getting a W-2 like most commission stylists. And our paychecks are so small that we don't have enough to live and to save for taxes as well. Also, I found that the owner is struggling with wanting to treat the stylists like employees, control over booking, time, pricing. But since we are 1099, technically we are independent contractors, so we should be allowed to move as such. But instead, we are treated like children who have to ask for permission for everything. Thoughts? I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to just dive into it?
Dive in.
Okay. So I want to talk about some legalities first before we, and again, disclaimer, we are not lawyers. Salons, it is illegal. I'm actually going to read you an excerpt. In the U.S., it is generally considered illegal for salons to pay 1099 independent contractors a commission if the salon exercises significant control over how they work. This is because independent contractors, unlike employees, are supposed to have a high degree of autonomy over their schedule, tools, clients, and work methods. Paying an independent contractor a commission can be seen as an indicator of control over their work and could violate IRS and Department of Labor guidelines regarding employee misclassification. If contractors are paid in this way and treated as employees, they could be reclassified as employees, which comes with legal implications, including fines and back taxes, which would be more on the salon owner and not you, my precious stylist.
Right.
Because why would you know? And this is why we talk about how important it is to be W-2 and how commission is one of the most fairest ways to be paid if paid correctly. We see this happen a lot with salons where they're giving too low of a commissions. It's not livable, where they have all these back bar charges. Then we have seen other salons that are running just like this, where they're like, you're a 1099 they say employee, but it's not a
I've
thing.
worked for salons.
Yes. And then they also try to micromanage your schedule, your pricing. There's no autonomy. If you are under the 1099 rule, you should be able to run your own business within their business within that chair. And that's the thing that people get confused of, because they're like, oh, this is also a commission salon. And honestly, caller, because we don't know your name, I don't know how you and the other stylists are surviving if someone is cutting into your pay via commission, and then you're still having to pay taxes on top of that.
Self-employment taxes.
Yeah. I mean, my mind is blown. I'm like, how is it possible?
So, but what people have to understand is that you can be a 1099 hairdresser.
Absolutely. In a salon.
In a salon. But when you get paid the commission part, that's that big of a deal. It's the control over what the employee does. So, for example, in this person's message to us, she mentioned that she has to ask for time off, she has to get things approved, she has to do all these things. And the reality is that, yes, we have to live in a big picture world, right? Because laws, there's a lot of nuanced things. So, for example, like, of course, when you take time off, there's got to be some sort of communication. I mean, yes, of course. Now, if you are being paid like an independent contractor and you are paying self-employment tax, but you are told what to wear, when to show up, and what your responsibilities are as an employee, then you are an employee, which is W-2. And I think, what happens here is that nobody wants to pay employment tax. Employment tax is a lot for salons. But this is why salons are unsustainable when they break the rules, because they have we've seen this happen so many times as coaches, and we are like, you need to get a new accountant. They are not, it's almost like some accountants will find and think that, oh, this isn't going to be profitable, or they shocked think it's when helping. They find out. Yeah. Well, they think they're helping salon owners like to a hole. I'm not even blaming the salon owner in this situation, because if the salon owner is being told by an accountant that doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't respect them, then I feel bad, because the salon owner is probably like, I was told this was the best way to do it. Now, if the salon owner knows better, then, shame on them. But no, if you're a 1099, you have to be respectful and follow the guidelines of the contract that you sign, but you do not have to, you're not an employee who should be handed new type of work and new type of rules all the time. So, for example, an independent contractor can wear whatever they want. Does that mean that they can come to work naked? No. They can technically create their own schedule. Does that mean that they can show up late to an appointment? No. So there's a lot of nuance that I think people don't like talking about. Like, well, I can show up whenever I want. Well, yes and no. There's still a contract when you're an independent contractor. It's just that what is happening here is that everyone's trying to get around paying taxes, and you and I have talked about this for years. That trying to get around paying taxes is the worst way to build a business and then run a business. It'll run it right into the ground. And this is why most commission salons don't have a long lifespan, because they don't do things properly. They do things reactively. So on one hand, the person who's messaging us is correct that, it feels wrong because it's wrong. But on the other hand, when you are 1099 and you agreed to get paid that way, you also have to take personal responsibility of being like, yeah, I worked here because, I worked here, it was 1099, I knew that going into it, and I still went in, right? So you can't go into a situation knowing it's 1099 and then say, I don't think this is right. Because you signed up to do that. Yes, it's still wrong, the salon owner needs to fix it. But I just think, like, a lot of times the problem is people love being 1099 because they don't have to pay quote-unquote taxes up front. It's when they realize that they have to pay it afterward, they all of a sudden villainize the salon owner. So I'm not saying that's what this person's doing, but that happens quite a bit. People like 1099 because they get more money up front. And then they get pissed off when they realize, oh no, you owe all that money now on the back end, plus the self-employment tax. Right? It's a yes and situation. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, it's wrong.
Should you take the salon owner to court and press charges and try? No, I don't think you should do that.
Maybe
Should
just
you
find a different job.
Yeah. Should you find a different salon? Yes. Should you, if you want to stay at a place that's 1099, if let's say you go to a booth rental salon or a suite, it's not 1099 because you're not working for someone else, but you're still self-employed. It's the same type of taxation. So it's just, there's just a lot to think about. And I think salons, I don't always blame the salon owner because I think salons are, who's telling the salon owner this?
It's tricky. Yeah.
It's a dipshit accountant.
Exactly. I think a couple things, right? Like, traditionally, in a correct manner, going into a rental salon, they would be contracted 1099, and there would be some freedoms. Like you said, there would be like, okay, I expect all of you to clean up after yourself. I expect the station
these are
to look good.
Contractual
Yeah, this is
things.
part of exactly like when you leave the space, but like
when I rent
running your own schedule.
If I rent an apartment, I can't destroy it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So there's those things. And then historically, commission salons have always been W-2. Where we run into problems is when we try to, for example, commission salons are doing W-2. That's great. But maybe the salon owner can't afford to pay the taxes. There's so many reasons. They're not hiring enough. The prices are too low. Their expenses are too high. And then they start doing like, I'm going to take away commissions, which makes it unlivable. And then they're going to start adding on all these back bar fees. And then we start to get in this like really big pickle, right? But technically that commission salon as a W-2 employee has every right to treat you as an employee when it comes to managing your schedule, doing all of these things, right? And then we have our booth rental salons, or rental salons that are then try to, micromanage the situation and kind of blur the lines. And I think that's where we have to be really clear with boundaries, because then we look in the middle of a DTH salon that we do say your commission, your W-2, but we are offering some of the freedoms. So we've blurred the two together, which is so great, but legally there's boundaries involved. Like you have freedom, but my boundary is A, B, and C, right? Like you're not bringing in your own color line. You're not doing ABC. And that's part of being a W-2 employee is the salon owner still has that control. But I think what happens too is a lot of salons, salon owners open out of, we've talked about this before. Maybe they were handed the salon. There was reactivity. I just want to open because I want to get away from my current space and not really knowing how to do it. And then they're like, I don't want to be a boss. So they're like, I'm going to do 1099. And then it turns into this thing of like, there's no consistency. You know what I mean? Like everything's kind of all over the place.
Well, I mean, the idea that you open a salon and then you say, I don't like leading or being a boss, then don't open a salon.
I don't care if you're a rental salon or you're still responsible for people.
Everyone's like, I don't like managing people. Life is about managing people, right? Like, even if you don't own a business, you're still managing, right? And I think you may not be good at it, but learning how to do that, you can, that's something you can learn. Yeah. But just opening a salon because you don't like your boss and they did it wrong, just to do it wrong again, seems a little redundant, and it seems to be what our industry does. And I think, on the flip side of this, there are so many rental salons that do have 1099 employees, and they're doing it incorrectly because they're giving their 1099 employees or their renters, like they're providing all the product and providing all the color. Yes. They're providing a front desk. And these things you don't provide when you have all contractors. And if you're out there and you own a salon where you provide all these things and you have all contractors, you're not making the money that you're not making money.
That you could.
You're barely, I know people are barely making it when they do rental. And it really shows up. Owning a rental salon really shows up when you stop doing hair, because that's still such a huge part of your income. And you can't really make more than what the ceiling of rent will allow, right? And I think that's such a big thing that kind of goes untalked about. Everybody wants to provide for their teams. Everybody wants to do all these things, and then it cuts into profit. So a lot of people are, in my opinion, misclassified in our industry. And if you work with an accountant that does not take you seriously, they will automatically misclassify you and tell you they're doing you a favor. And it'll feel like they're doing you a favor because you will feel like you're making more money up front and then the end of the year will come and they will tell you how much you owe and you will shit your pants.
We had an accountant like that they were just
Oh
like,
my God.
they were constantly trying to find like the ways and the loopholes. And I'm not saying that's not great. Like, I mean, that's part of their job, is to find where you can save money.
There are ways.
Absolutely. But, you know, I'm always looking, I'm like, you're more worried about this versus like, legally, I know that I have to pay taxes. I know that it's expensive to run a business. I want an accountant to talk to me about like my profit and loss. I want someone to be talking about your expenses are too high. Like, you have taxes to pay. You have A, B, and C. So I really think like if I could give this person advice, I would definitely say for anyone listening, like, do your research. I mean, everything out there is Googleable, you know,
Googleable.
like Googleable. And talk to your lawyers, like talk to someone in that realm. Like, we have an accountant that we were like, we need an accountant to work with hairdressers. And now she works with all of our students all over the country. She's incredible. And it helps because she knows our industry. She knows, especially for our students, how DTH salons are run. And so that she's really trying to be like,
seriously.
She takes us seriously. And that's important because I've had to coach people out of like, you need to find a different accountant. The fact that they're telling you that is crazy.
You know, I spoke to her recently and she was like, we were talking about DTH salons and she's like, I work with so many people in the DTH program and so many people outside of it. And she goes, the difference is that DTH salons are profitable and other salons are not.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work to get your taxation right because we have been doing it wrong for so long. The salon industry has been skirting by for so long and it just isn't, it's not worth it. Your business will thank you for setting things up properly. So if you work for someone doing it wrong, you know, you're not really at fault, but if you know it's wrong, I would take your own accountant seriously. So if you do work for someone at 1099, you need to have an accountant that's like, open your own space. Make sure you are playing by the rules of capitalism, because if you play by the rules, it'll benefit you in the end. It'll hurt. It'll feel like shit in the beginning, but it will really benefit you in the end. But I see this happen all the time, and I think it's slowly changing. You know,
I do too.
So there are times even in DTH salons where even our accountant will tell, you know, Kat, the accountant for all the DTH students, she'll say, you know, you do need to do 1099 for a few months. It's like there's no way that
you can't afford taxes.
You can't even afford to do W-2. But that also means we have to look at how much control over you have over your staff. So you can do this. The commissioned salon owner can do 1099. You just have to look at all the legalities behind it. And yes, you can still be 1099 and get paid commission. Those two things are not necessarily. It's just that commission can make it kind of murky. But you know, a lot of people, you know, broke real estate agents, they're usually 1099 and they also get paid commission. So you can do it, but brokers also make their own schedule, have their own client list. Like, so you have to make sure you're following those rules. There's not,
and every state's different. So
and
like
every state's different.
That's where you have to look at, like, you know, we were talking about legalities recently, and we were talking about removal of front desk, and like Pennsylvania requires you to have not necessarily a front desk, but a checkout reception area. So like you have to know like these legalities, because especially like, yes, there's loopholes, like that reception area could just be like a tablet in the corner, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like it's so important, and we cannot stress this enough. And we always say like we are coaches, but like you need to get this legal answer. So we're pushing our students of like, you need to talk to a lawyer, book a consult, like start doing your research. Like, we don't know the laws of every single state. At this point, we know a lot of the laws in most states. I will say that, but that is not our job description. And your friend is not that job description.
Your uncle, who, you know, is a retired, you know, accountant, also doesn't know that. You've got to work with someone who takes you seriously, and I recommend a neutral party. And if you want to learn more about the DTH account, you can actually go to salondifferently.com/financial services, and you can book a call with Kat. Her name is Catalina Chu. And so if you need help, she does work with people. It doesn't matter what state you're in. If you're a Canadian student, she can't work with you, but or if you're a Canadian listener,
trying to find someone.
But I think we have someone in the wings for that might be. But again, don't get caught in what's illegal and what's legal. get caught in what works for me and what did I work out with my accountant and what did my lawyer tell me. And, that's how you got to take that advice. Do not listen to other hairdressers who go, oh, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Or you can't do that. Don't listen to hairdressers telling you those things. Listen to the people that are helping you build your business, not the people who are just reactive about something they heard. It's very important.
I mean, we see it in California all the time of commission's illegal, and then everyone believes commission's legal, and that's not the case. But there are nuances, there are rules, there are requirements, and that might not be in your wheelhouse because it's expensive.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So, and
just because you can't afford to do something doesn't make it illegal.
Exactly. And I think that's where things get convoluted. And so that's where we really have to start saying of like, I hear what you're saying, but like, I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to talk to my own board of people to really figure out the answer that I need because I want to make the most profit. But as far as the caller, I really hope you make a wise decision. And I hope that the salon makes a wise decision because I hate to see any salon suffer or go under for such a silly reason that could be fixed pretty quickly. So
yeah. And take personal responsibility. If you were hired as a 1099 employee and then you didn't know much about it and then you realized it wasn't in your favor, that's not on the salon owner. That's on you. So dig into that personal responsibility, ask the questions from the right people, reach out to us so we can point you in the right direction. But, the only way out of things is personal responsibility. Blame it's not going to get you very far. And again, I'm not saying that's what this person's doing, but I just know that in our industry, that's kind of how hairdressers go about things. I mean, I love blaming people. Blaming people is my favorite pastime, but try not to.
Easier that way than taking responsibility, right?
Exactly. So, but I hope this helps. I hope this helps a lot of people because I know this comes up a lot, even in our discovery calls with prospective students and with current students. So, good luck to all of you out there that are navigating the 1099 W-2 world. I know it's a choose your own adventure at this point.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
Let's face it, selling the same retail that every other salon is selling is not working anymore. It's time to take control of your retail sales and profits with Genesis Private Label. Genesis offers premium plant-powered formulations that are cruelty-free and clinically tested. Start your own line for just $1,000 and take your salon's brand and profits to the next level. As a DTH podcast listener, you get an exclusive deal on your sample kit. Usually $149, now just $34.97. Visit genesisprivatelabel.com/DTH and order your sample kit today. Hey hairdressers, are you looking for health insurance? It's time to get healthy with Hairdresser Healthcare, the only coverage designed specifically for the beauty industry. Whether you're an independent stylist, a salon owner with a team, a makeup artist, or a massage therapist, we've got you covered with comprehensive and affordable benefits. With options for self-enrollment and year-round open enrollment, taking control of your health has never been easier. And the best part is, it's available in every state. Visit hairdresserhealthcare.com and take control of your health today because you, your team, and your family deserve it.